So, hi, Colleen.
Hi. How you doing, Pat?
Good. So it was very easy for me if you know if you're it isn't that you're not top of mind always, but I was certainly having flashbacks to our youth this week because I did my vaccine locally in what was, as you and I remember it from childhood, the abandoned JC Penney
Ah,
building that we spent
oh my God, I have a vision of it.
Well, it was like you don't even have to have a vision of it. It was so bizarre because you walked into it, and to me, it was. I've been saying to people, it was like Stranger Things or something. It was like you dropped into like a 1985 post-apocalypse department store. So when I walked in and looked up to my left was the salon, which I think
Wasn't there a salon and some kind of like little cafe?
there was a luncheonette. I
Okay.
remember being in that luncheonette with you and your mother, but the salon was to your left, and then there was a luncheonette. So like you walk in and you still have the salon sign, and then
Oh
as you
my
navigate
God.
through all the very helpful, nice National Guard men that kind of journey you through, and you get your shot and you're sitting. It's like the dressing rooms are still labeled, the jewelry
Oh,
counter is still exactly where it always was with no jewelry in it. And it was just super, super. I had weird flashbacks of like I think Jen worked behind the jewelry counter. So like at every turn I was remembering I wanted to go to the catalog room. There was that weird room where if you couldn't get into the store, you went all the way in the back and there was the
the JC
chicka
Penney
thing.
catalog
So you flip
heaven.
through the catalog and that's where you would order like blinds or pieces to your blinds that you could
I
only
can
get
still
there.
smell that catalog, that JC Penney catalog. Oh my God. I think I got my first perm at that salon. I'm pretty sure.
So I was boys were barber shops back in my day. So like it wasn't until like I got a proper job and I could actually pay for my own haircut that I hit the big time. And I went and the person that cut my hair at the time and also gave me highlights worked there. So I would go and I remember I had a JC Penney's credit card. It was also very grown up to me. And but yeah,
Uh,
it was a premier salon at the time. Like it wasn't like it was supposed to be pretty glitzy and high end.
well, I know I felt pretty glitzy going in there because I think we had lunch, like it was a mother daughter, every maybe every like 6 months or so, we went and had little lunch and would go to the stylist too. But unlike you, my mom had the JC Penney card, and I think she would let me buy like one thing or something like when we'd go in and get our hair done. It was like special. Maybe it wasn't even every 6 months. It might have been once a
Once.
year. I just keep remembering it like it was so many times. But I remember like I needed uh one thing. I forget what it was. I think I needed a pair of pants for work, like waitressing, and my mother let me use her, and I was broke, of course. And my mother let me use her JC Penney card, and I was like, and this beautiful watch, and I need this shirt. And I went on a shopping spree with my mother's JC Penney card and whew, paid for that for a long time.
Yeah, but it's so funny, these old, like we spent a lot of time at these old strip malls. I mean, the shell and the is still there. Like even like the Kmart is just recently closed around here. I mean, it's very, very recent that
Kmart or
with
K-Smart.
K-Smart, it was one of the very few that was kicking around, and that building's still there. And um,
Wow.
like JCPenney's to me was really the salon. I don't remember being drawn to anything there. I think it was probably, the older men, or maybe you got the clip-on tie for a graduation. I don't remember being in there, but I think Kmart was the place that I used to spend hours flipping through posters and records and cassettes, and it seemed like there was much more to do there.
Yeah, definitely. JC Penney just had clothes, the salon, perfume. It was kind of like the mall almost, like the clothes mall. I mean, I think there are still JC Penney's. Like when I first moved here, I remember going into a JC Penney and go, wow, there are still JC Penney's. They kind of try to youth it up and make it pennies or something like that.
Yeah.
Or they gave it, oh, JCP or something. Like it has some kind of acronym or something like that, or it did. And Ellen was,
Ellen, that's right. And the
yeah.
Kardashians had a line in there at one point. It was really, yes.
But I don't know if they're still, I heard that they were in trouble and going out, so I don't know. But all of those stores, Kmart was great. But I remember like with my dad going to, and I think what was in its place, it was Rich's. Where was Rich's?
Rich's was where it was in the Penny's Mall. It was in the Penny's.
It was on the opposite end, right?
Yeah, near the movie
Okay.
theater, yeah. And I don't even know if these stores were like, I believe somewhere on Twitter, I think somebody had a picture of like a Rich's like in Massachusetts. So I guess the Rich's was a
Like a chain. Yeah.
and that I loved.
Didn't Rich work at Rich's? I think Rich worked at Rich's at one point because I remember us all laughing about it. Or was he too?
I don't know if he did. What I remember is the decal t-shirt section was to me the glitz, and the riches the burned plastic onto the shirt.
Oh my
He had the like
God.
weird cork behind it. And I don't know if Rich worked there, but I do know, and I say this with great love, like college shirts were very popular at the time. And I remember his mother tried to replicate a Harvard t-shirt at the machine and spelled Harvard wrong. And that's what I remember about Rich and Rich's is that, but it was that, like, and we never had those decal shirts. I'm sure that it was like very waste of money in my family, but I do remember like looking at the like
Almost like the Build-A-Bear.
Yeah, it was in that hot machine and that toxic. That always.
Once you washed it, it probably all like amped up and
totally
everything.
did.
I'm sure. Oh God. What was the Kings? There was Kings.
You know, it's funny. Kings came up because our friend Maura's brother does cabaret in New York City, and he talks in his anecdotal stories in between songs of his memories back here. And he talks about Kings was where his mother would go once a week because I think it had a little bit of everything, like groceries or whatever, but that he would always go to like the discounted record section. Like she would give him like 75 cents to go and like flip through like the discounted records that had the hole punch in them so that they could mark them down. But yeah, I think it was kind of, again, that was where the Price Chopper is now. I don't know what these stores were. I don't know what they all seem very much the same when you think about them. I don't know what the edge over one versus.
Well, it's so weird because all of those stores, and there were so many, there were like Ames. I don't know if there was there an Ames nearby in West Lebanon, because there was an Ames near St. Johnsbury. It probably was in St. Johnsbury when my parents lived there. I remember kind of switching over and having to like recalculate from not Kings, but Kmart to Ames, and it was very similar.
And I feel like it was in Plymouth or Rumney, the Ames.
Okay.
I felt like that was a drive, and that was a thing that the kids in Dorchester and all those like faraway towns, they got to go in. I think it was that.
So that, because they were closer to like Plymouth and Rumney and things like that. That's true.
I believe that's what it was. There was this is very random, but it was somebody, I think it was Sheena Easton's birthday the other day, and they were like, there was this big billboard of like her hit songs and all that kind of stuff, and I had a complete flashback to Bradlees. I don't know if
oh my gosh, yes, Bradlees.
And that was in Manchester, so that was like an hour or so away, but I remember buying a cassette with Karen and Lulu before we went to Club 777, but I bought a Sheena Eason's The Lover and Me cassette at that Bradlees, and I had a Bradlees credit card there. And any of these stores really was just so that I could buy it, the music. I was not going into Bradlees and buying clothes, but I had a Bradlees flashback recently as well.
It's crazy because all of those stores now have been the big Walmart and Target have everything. It has just gone to those two stores now. I mean, there might be a JC Penney straggler, a Kmart straggler, or Sears somewhere, but those two places have taken it all over. So it'll never be.
It fascinates me because when you think of these stores and where we know these stores to be, they were all in close proximity of each other, but they were kind of offering the same thing as one another.
They were, but a little different. It was kind of like.
I mean, was it the Jacqueline Smith collection that brought you to Kmart? That's where my mind goes there. I'm trying to remember which store was it. We'll leave the name of our friend out, to protect the innocent, where we were.
CVS.
No, CVS is a whole nother thing. CVS is a whole nother thing. But when we were with our friend at the time, it was around 8th grade. She had a big cowl neck sweater and long hair, and we would hold earrings up to her ears and pretend that, oh, these look so pretty, and drop them down her cowl neck. What
store was that? I remember the flea market when she took out a birdhouse.
A bread box.
A bird box.
But I believe, again, this is why it's a blur. So essentially when you went into Kmart, you had that same place, no different than when you went into Rich's and no different than when you went into JC Penney.
The jewelry counter.
The jewelry counter was always in the same place. I feel like it was Penny's where we were doing that.
Because they would have been a little bit nicer. Penny's was a little bit higher class, I think.
Well, but I think we were in just a weird, let's try to steal things mode. I don't think it was because the goods were any better at one or the other.
I couldn't steal anything. If you remember, the only time I could steal anything is when you guys brought me, and this is totally going down a rabbit hole, but at Pleasant Valley, the little store down the road from the high school, and you were like, take it, like something. And I grabbed walnuts. You guys got glitz candy and all this stuff. And I had a bag of cooking walnuts that weren't even salted. And
Kathy, no, yeah. So we were protecting anything innocent. So I sort of she was super, super, super good with it. But I think it was just a strange. None of us really needed anything. None of us were so poor that we couldn't have the things that we were grabbing.
It was just it was like swearing or anything else that we did that wasn't.
I mean, it made sense when you and I would go into that store, Sundries, and you would steal cigarettes. I mean, that's different because.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, God. So I did graduate eventually from walnuts to cigarettes. I forgot. I forgot.
So you remember the place in Hanover, that Sundries store?
Yes, the one with the very ancient.
Well, I don't remember which of us it was. One of us distracted the older lady that ran the store. The other took the cigarettes. I'm pretty sure you took the Salems. But if it were me, I'm not surprised. But we did it a couple of times, and then she got really mad at us. She started to realize what it was we were doing, and she shooed us from the store. But
wasn't that in the Nugget building?
Was that in the Nugget movie theater building?
Yep.
And it's sort of stacked halfways, and it was one of those stores that looked like the one type you would see in a hospital. It was a very bizarre little store, but they kept the cigarettes out, so you could talk to the woman at the counter, and not like now that they're all behind you. They were off to if you were talking to her, it was off to the left, where you could kind of pick up your cigarettes, but.
Oh my God.
But I know, again, that makes more sense to me than, randomly stealing cheap earrings just for the hell of it. Or
she may have had a little bit of a problem. I think she did it a lot, for some reason.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, I mean, it is, now we go down that rabbit hole of shoplifting. But that whole weird antique thing is still even open. You know, the place that we stole the bread box from. Okay,
I gave it to my mother for Mother's Day. That's how, and every time I looked at it, it made me feel a little sick to my stomach that I had given that gift to my.
Yeah, and I think our other friend took like something that was sort of like looked like a fake potted little plant with like a flower in it or something. I didn't, because I do think that was very scary to me, the antique store that we would go into and take things from, because it was one thing to do the drop down the cowl neck sweater, because that's like contained, but that journey that it's sort of something that's hidden, and things didn't have beeper machines in it either. You didn't have really a lot of that ding 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 when you leave a store with like a tag on it.
No, but that flea market was creepy in a way because you would get stuck. You'd have to go upstairs and out little doors, and the guy was sitting right there when you walked out.
Sort of the very pawnbrokery entrance where people would come shill their treasures to be put in the store, but you had to walk. And but yes, so yeah, it's funny being back here because so much of the shell of those buildings is still very much the same. Like when I think of IGA, the supermarket, it's empty, but it's still that.
Is it empty now?
It is empty, yes.
Ah, that makes me sad.
But like I was thinking about other things like I don't even know if, with the exception of Walmart, like these big like Filene's, like that was another store I loved, is like Filene's or
Filene's basement
and stuff. But yeah, it has been, having that vaccine shot in an old JC Penney's did certainly take me down memory lane a little.
Yeah. Gosh, good old days. I love you so much. This was fun.
All right. I love you. Bye.
All right. Bye.